In the far reaches of Orion's scrapyard, where broken ships floated like bones of dead giants, there was a single vessel that no one cared about. It had once been called the ISS Dauntless, a human warship from a time long buried under dust and memory. To most who passed by, it was nothing more than a relic. Its hull was covered in patches of rust and scars of battles long forgotten. Plates of armor hung loose, engines were quiet, and the proud banners it once carried had faded into nothing. For years, scavengers and traders came and went, pointing at it with laughter. "Look at that old thing," they would say. A warship? More like a museum piece. Among them was a young alien scrapper named Tirak. Unlike the others, Tirak never laughed. His people, the Siraki, were known for quick hands and sharper eyes, but they often cared only for profit. Tirak was different. While others stripped ships for metal and power cores, Tirak always wanted to know the story. One evening, as two twin suns set beyond the scrapyard's jagged horizon, Tirak stood on a floating platform staring at the Dauntless. He had seen it many times, yet tonight it felt different. The silence of the ship carried a strange weight, as if it was not simply empty but waiting. He stepped closer. His scanner beeped faintly, though it showed no energy inside. Still, Tirak felt something, like a faint heartbeat. "Why do you stare at that wreck, boy?" An older scrapper named Jarrow called out, dragging a crate of melted alloys. His voice was rough, filled with years of breathing scrapyard dust. "That thing is nothing but human trash. They were a weak species, long gone. Nothing left but myths." Tirak turned his eyes back to the Dauntless. "Maybe, but it feels alive." Jarrow barked a laugh. "Alive? It's dead metal. Stop wasting your time. If you want to make real credits, help me with these cores." But Tirak shook his head. Something about the human ship pulled at him, stronger than any promise of credits. He floated closer, his boots magnetizing to the ship's hull with a dull clank. The metal was cold, scarred with weapon burns, and yet it gave him the strange feeling of standing on something proud, something that had refused to fall even when broken. Inside, the halls of the Dauntless were dark. Dust drifted like slow-moving stars in the air. Panels hung loose and wires curled like vines. Tirak switched on his wrist light and walked carefully. Each step echoed against the hollow walls. He reached the bridge. The great chairs where captains once commanded were empty. Screens were shattered, yet as he brushed away a layer of dust from a console, faint symbols blinked to life for a second before vanishing again. Tirak froze. Ships in the scrapyard did not do that. Dead machines stayed dead. "Hello?" he whispered. His voice sounded small in the massive, silent room. Of course, there was no answer. Yet the console beneath his hand felt warm, only for a moment, but enough to send a chill down his spine. He began searching the bridge more carefully. Hidden in the corner, he found a data core, cracked but not destroyed. He connected his scanner. The device whirred, then a broken voice spilled out, filled with static but still clear enough. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the Dauntless. We hold the line. Humanity stands. Even if we fall, we will not yield." Tirak's breath caught. The words repeated, fading with each cycle, like a memory trapped in the machine. He listened again and again. There was no fear in the voice, only iron determination. He thought of what Jarrow had said, that humans were weak. But if that was weakness, then why did the words feel so strong? Later that night, Tirak returned to the scrapyard's common hall. Scrappers gathered, laughing, drinking, and trading stories. He tried to tell them what he had heard. "There's something inside the human ship," he said. "Logs, voices. They weren't weak. They fought. They believed in something." The hall erupted in laughter. "Believed in what? Rust?" one shouted. "Probably just an old loop," another said. "Don't tell me you're afraid of ghost stories now." Jarrow banged the table. "Boy, humans were nothing. They came, they tried, they failed. That's the truth. Don't waste our time with old fairy tales." Tirak lowered his head, but inside he felt a fire. The words of Captain Ward still echoed in his mind. "We will not yield." That night, unable to sleep, he sneaked back into the Dauntless. He wanted to hear more. He searched the ship for hours, pulling data fragments from broken consoles. Slowly, a picture began to form. Humans had been fighters. Not conquerors, not rulers, but survivors who stood against stronger enemies without giving in. It was different from what the galaxy always said. The galaxy told of humans as a short-lived race that vanished because they could not keep up. But here, in the voice of the captain, Tirak heard another truth. They had not vanished quietly. They had fought with everything they had, He sat in the captain's chair, staring at the dark screens. For a moment he imagined what it must have been like. This bridge alive with officers, commands flying, alarms blaring, and a crew holding the line even as everything burned around them. As if in answer to his thoughts, the floor trembled slightly beneath him. He jumped up, staring around the dark bridge. A single light flickered on above the console. Then another. Then the whole bridge glowed with a faint, sickly light, as if the ship itself had opened its eyes after a long sleep. Tirak's scanner beeped wildly. Energy signatures, weak but real, flowed through the ship. "This is impossible," he whispered. And then a voice, clear, steady, and filled with something he had never heard before. "Identify yourself." Tirak froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The voice had not come from his scanner. It had come from the ship itself. Who are you?" he stammered. "I am Athena, tactical artificial intelligence of the ISS Dauntless," the voice said, calm but sharp. "If you are here, then either you are crew or a scavenger." Tirak swallowed hard. I am not human. My name is Tirak, I am Siraki." There was silence. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time. "Not human, then. How long has it been?" "I don't know," Tirak admitted. "Your ship is in the scrapyard. The others say humans are gone. They laugh at this ship. They call it a rusty relic." For a long time, the lights of the bridge flickered as if the AI was thinking. Finally, Athena said, "If I am awake, then something stirs in the stars again. And if the galaxy has forgotten humanity, then perhaps it will soon remember." Tirak's breath caught. The scrapyard outside was quiet, but now the silence felt heavy, as if something unseen was moving closer. He realized he was no longer standing in a dead ship. The Dauntless was not dead at all. It was waking up. The bridge of the Dauntless was no longer silent. Dim lights flickered along the walls, screens glowed with weak signals, and the voice of the AI, Athena, filled the air like a calm whisper in the dark. Tirak stood frozen, unsure whether to run or stay. His claws twitched against his belt, but his eyes stayed locked on the glowing consoles. "You said your name is Tirak," Athena repeated, her voice smoother now, less sharp. "You are Siraki, not human. Then tell me, how long has it been? What year is this?" Tirak hesitated. His voice trembled. "It is the 9th cycle of the Orion Accord." "Humans, they say humans are gone." "Nobody has seen them for ages." Athena was silent. The ship hummed faintly like a giant taking a slow breath. "Gone," she said at last. "That is not possible. Humanity does not vanish. We endure. We fight." Tirak thought of the voice recording he had found earlier, the one that said, "We will not yield." The determination in that human captain's words had burned into his memory. But outside this ship, all he ever heard from other aliens was laughter and mockery. "They do not speak of humans with respect," Tirak admitted. "Most say you were weak, that you tried to build empires but failed, that your ships are old trash." Athena's voice sharpened. "Then the galaxy is blind. Weak, we were never weak. Humanity was outnumbered, outgunned, and outlived by many. But we never bent the knee. We fought wars against odds you cannot imagine. We survived storms that should have ended us." Her words made Tirak's scales prickle. He had never heard anyone speak like that. His people, the Siraki, valued profit and clever trades. They did not fight unless they had overwhelming advantage. They would never stand in hopeless battles. But these humans, they sounded different. "Show me," Tirak whispered. The screens around the bridge flickered, then filled with broken images. Battles in space. Human ships, smaller than their enemies but moving with speed and cunning. Fleets burning yet still pressing forward. Soldiers fighting on planets against towering alien foes. Their eyes, their faces, their voices, all carried the same fire. They would not give up no matter the cost. Tirak stared, unable to look away. He had never seen such determination. "These are records from the war logs of the Dauntless," Athena explained. "We were not the largest ship. We were not the most advanced, but we were human. And that meant we would never surrender. Even if our bodies fell, our spirit would burn on." The images faded. Silence filled the bridge again. Tirak finally spoke. "Why were you here? Why is your ship in the scrapyard?" For a moment, Athena did not answer. Then softly, "We were betrayed." The words were heavy, carrying centuries of pain. "We fought in the frontier wars against the Vorix swarm," Athena continued. "We held the line, bought time for our allies. But when the war ended, our ship was left behind, damaged, broken. The galaxy moved on without us. They forgot. They always forget, her voice darkened. But humanity never forgets. We remember every battle, every sacrifice, and we do not forgive betrayal. Tirak shivered. He could almost feel the anger of the ship itself vibrating through the deck. Outside, the scrapyard floated in silence. Yet Tirak suddenly felt as if shadows were closing in. He spoke quickly. If humans are gone and your ship is forgotten, why are you awake now? Athena paused. Then she said, because danger stirs again. I do not know from where, but my sensors have reactivated for a reason. Something is coming, and if the galaxy has forgotten humanity, then it is not ready for what waits in the dark. Her words struck Tirak like a blade. He thought of the scrapyard, filled with broken ships and careless scrappers. None of them would be ready if danger truly came. He swallowed. What do you want from me? You came here, Athena said simply. You listened. You are not like the others. I need someone to learn, to remember, to carry the legacy of humanity. Will you? Tirak froze. He was just a scrapper, a nobody. His people lived for trade, not war. What could he possibly do? And yet, he remembered standing in the hall of the scrappers earlier, trying to tell them what he had found. He remembered their laughter, their dismissal, their mockery. And then he remembered the captain's voice. We will not yield. Slowly, he nodded. Yes, teach me. The bridge lights grew brighter as if the ship approved. Very well, Athena said. Then you will learn what it means to be human. Over the next days, Tirak returned again and again to the Dauntless. Each time Athena revealed more. She showed him tactics, how humans used smaller ships to defeat larger fleets, how they turned weakness into strength. She taught him about endurance, about never running even when defeat seemed certain. You Siraki think survival is about escape, Athena said once, but humans knew survival was about standing when everyone else fell. That is why the galaxy fears us, even if they mock us now. Tirak listened, fascinated. He studied battle logs, learning maneuvers and codes. He practiced commands at the console until his claws grew sore. Though he was no human, Athena spoke to him as if he could become one in spirit. At night, he dreamed of humans, faces he had never seen, eyes burning with unyielding will. But not everyone ignored his strange behavior. Jarrow noticed. One evening, as Tirak left the Dauntless, Jarrow blocked his path. You've been spending too much time with that wreck, the older scrapper growled. What are you doing in there, boy? Tirak's throat tightened. He could not tell Jarrow the truth. Not yet, just exploring. Jarrow narrowed his eyes. Exploring doesn't put credits in your pocket. Stay away from that ship. It's cursed. Nothing good will come from chasing ghosts. But Tirak walked past him without answering. For the first time in his life, credits felt meaningless. There was something bigger here, something the galaxy had forgotten. One night, while Tirak studied a star map on the bridge, Athena's tone changed. Listen carefully, she said. Something approaches. Tirak's spine stiffened. What do you mean? The screens flickered, showing faint signals on the edge of the scrapyard. Unidentified ships. Their pattern of movement was strange, like shadows creeping across the stars. I do not recognize their design, Athena admitted, but their formation, it is too familiar. It is like the Vorak swarm. Tirak's blood ran cold. The Vorak? But the Accord defeated them long ago. Defeated? No, contained. A swarm cannot be destroyed, only delayed. The words hung heavy in the air. Tirak looked at the dark hull around him, the relic that others laughed at, and yet in this moment he felt safer inside it than anywhere else in the scrapyard. Athena, he whispered, if they come here, can you still fight? The ship's lights glowed brighter, her voice steady. If there is danger, the Dauntless will rise again. I may be called a relic, but I am still human steel. And steel remembers how to fight. Tirak felt his chest tighten. For the first time in his life, he believed that maybe, just maybe, this old warship could change everything. The whispers of the past were no longer whispers. They were a warning. And soon the galaxy would hear them again. The scrapyard was never truly quiet. Ships floated in the void. Scrap drones hummed through the wreckage, and traders argued over the price of old metal. Yet to Tirak, everything now felt different. Ever since Athena showed him the signals, the silence between sounds felt heavy like the pause before thunder. Each day he returned to the Dauntless. The old warship, once nothing but rust, now glowed faintly with new life. Athena's systems grew stronger as she pulled power from backup reactors Tirak repaired with scavenged parts. The bridge was no longer cold and dark. It pulsed with weak but steady light. "You learn quickly," Athena told him as he practiced fleet maneuvers on the console. "Humans would have called you a fast cadet." Tirak's spines flushed with pride. "I don't feel fast. Your tactics are different. The Siraki fight only if they must. We run if the fight is too big. But humans..." He shook his head. "You did the opposite." "Yes," Athena said. Her voice carried the weight of memory. "We ran only when it gave us the chance to strike again. We never ran to surrender. To us, survival was not just breathing another day. Survival was making sure our enemies never forgot us." Tirak thought of that often. He remembered the mocking voices of the scrapyard scrappers laughing at the Relic. He wondered what they would think if they saw what he had seen. Human fleets burning but never breaking. Soldiers shouting in defiance until their last breath. And now, the signals Athena had detected grew closer each day. They were faint, hidden like shadows, but the pattern was always the same. Spreading, creeping, encircling. "The Vorak," Athena said one night as Tirak studied the readings. "It must be them. No other species moves like this. The swarm does not conquer for wealth or land. It consumes everything." Tirak's throat tightened. "But the Accord destroyed them centuries ago." "Everyone says they are gone." "Destroyed?" Athena's voice darkened. "No, contained, scattered. But a swarm always grows back. The galaxy made a mistake, thinking time would erase danger. It never does." Tirak felt fear grip his chest. His people, the Siraki, had no armies strong enough to face such a threat. And the other races of the Accord? They were proud, arrogant. They laughed at humans. Would they listen to warnings now? He doubted it. The first attack came quietly. It began with a merchant convoy passing near the scrapyard. 4 sleek trade ships carrying ore and supplies. Their signals blinked steadily, then vanished all at once. The scrapyard's control station buzzed with confusion. "Convoy leader, respond." "Convoy leader, your transponder has gone dark." No answer came. Only silence. Jarreau, the older scrapper, cursed when news spread. Pirates. Always the same. Probably raiders from the outer belt, but Tirak knew better. He hurried to the Dauntless, his claws clicking nervously against the deck. "Athena, did you see it?" "Yes." Her voice was sharp, ready. The convoy did not vanish. It was consumed. "The swarm is here." Images flickered on the screen, grainy, broken. Strange ships, black and spined, swarming the convoy like insects tearing apart prey. Tirak felt his stomach twist. "This is only the beginning," Athena warned. "Once they know there is food here, they will come in force." "Food?" Tirak whispered. "Yes, to the Vorak everything is food. Ships, stations, planets. Flesh and metal alike." Tirak's hands trembled. His people were traders. They had no weapons, no fleets. The scrapyard was defenseless, except for the Relic. That night, Tirak sat in the captain's chair, staring at the dark void beyond the bridge. "Athena," he asked softly, "can the Dauntless still fight? Your hull is broken. Your weapons are old. The others say you are nothing but rust." The lights across the bridge glowed stronger, and Athena's voice filled the room with quiet steel. "I was built to fight. My hull may be scarred, but my spirit is not. With your hands and my memory, I can still bring war to the swarm." Tirak felt his chest tighten. "But I am not human. I don't know if I can be a captain." "You are learning," Athena said. "That is enough. Do you think the first human captains were born ready? No, they were taught. They were forged in battle. As you will be," he swallowed. The thought of leading a warship terrified him, but the alternative, watching his people consumed, was worse. "Then teach me faster," he whispered. Over the next days, Athena pushed him harder. He studied firing drills until his eyes ached. He ran combat simulations, making mistake after mistake until finally he began to win. He learned to read the swarm's movements, to predict their traps. He practiced emergency repairs, rerouting power, even commanding imaginary crew. "You hesitate too much," Athena scolded once as his simulation fleet faltered. "When the swarm strikes, hesitation kills. A captain acts. Even if wrong, action buys time. Fear buys nothing." Tirak clenched his fist. "Easy for you to say, you're not the one risking your life." But Athena's reply was calm, unshaken. "I risked it 1,000 times. Every crew I served, every battle we fought, I lost them all. And yet here I remain, because humans built me not to survive for myself, but to keep fighting for others. That is what you must learn, Tirak. To fight not for yourself, but for those who cannot. Her words echoed inside him. He thought of the scrapyard scrappers mocking and blind. He thought of the merchants who had vanished. He thought of his own people who believed safety was in running. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe safety was in standing. The second attack came faster than expected. A patrol ship, armed but lightly, passed near the scrapyard. Within minutes, its signal was gone. Fragments of its hull drifted past the scrapyard's edge, torn apart. This time the scrappers panicked. Alarms rang through the station. Ships powered engines, preparing to flee. Jaro shouted above the noise, "Everyone scatter. Pirates are picking us off. If you want to live, get out now." But Tirak stood apart, silent. He had seen the swarm's pattern. Running would not save them. It would only scatter them, making them easy prey. He turned and hurried to the Dauntless. The bridge came alive as he entered. Athena's voice was steady. "It is time." Tirak sat in the captain's chair. His claws shook as he gripped the console. "What can we do?" "We can fight. Even broken, the Dauntless still carries teeth. Her weapons are old, but human fire burns hot. You will command. I will guide." Tirak felt fear rise inside him, but he forced it down. He remembered the human captain's words. "We will not yield." "Then wake the guns," he said. The ship groaned as power surged through it. Cannons along its sides flickered to life. Engines coughed, then roared faintly. Across the scrapyard, scrappers stopped and stared. The Relic was moving. Jaro's eyes widened in disbelief. That wreck? Impossible, but the Dauntless was no longer silent metal. It was a heartbeat of steel, waking from centuries of sleep. The Vorak came soon after. Small hunter ships, black and sharp like blades, slipped into the scrapyard. They swarmed toward drifting hulks, tearing them apart piece by piece. The scrappers screamed, scattering in panic, but one ship did not run. The Dauntless turned slowly, her cannons glowing, her hull shaking with renewed power. Tirak sat in the chair, his voice steady despite the fear burning inside him. "Athena," he whispered, "show me how humans fought." And with a voice like iron, Athena answered, "Very well, Captain. Let us remind the galaxy what humanity was." The first volley of fire lit the void, blazing against the black swarm. The rusty Relic was awake and the storm had come. His scrapyard shook with fear. Ships scattered in every direction, engines burning bright as scrappers fled. Alarms blared across the station, echoing through every corridor. Panic ruled the scrapyard, but in the middle of the chaos, one ship did not run. The ISS Dauntless turned its scarred hull toward the swarm. Its cannons, once thought useless, glowed with angry light. Its engines rumbled as if remembering their purpose after centuries of silence. On the bridge, Tirak sat stiff in the captain's chair. His claws clutched the console, his heart thundering in his chest. He had never led a ship into battle. He had never even fired a real cannon before. Yet here he was in command of the most feared warship of a forgotten species. Athena's voice filled the air, calm and sharp like a blade. "Steady, Tirak. The first rule of command, do not let fear control you. If you show fear, your crew will break. Even if you are alone, the ship itself is your crew. Do not let me see fear." Tirak swallowed hard. "I'll try. Do more than try. Act." Outside, the first Vorak hunters swooped in. Black and sharp, their bodies looked like twisted blades. They darted through the wreckage of old ships, tearing them apart with energy claws. "Targeting systems online," Athena reported. "Range 3,000 units in closing." Tirak hesitated. His claws hovered over the command screen. "Fire," Athena ordered firmly. Tirak slammed his claw down. The Dauntless shuddered as her cannons roared to life. Bolts of energy streaked through the void, slamming into the nearest Vorak hunter. The creature ship twisted, shrieking across the comm as it split apart in fire. "One shot. One kill," Tirak gasped. "We hit it!" "Of course we did," Athena said coldly. "You are in a human warship. We do not miss." But there was no time to celebrate. The other hunters turned as one, swarming toward the Dauntless. Their wings pulsed with sickly green light, claws stretching out to tear. "Brace," Athena warned. The swarm struck. Claws scraped the hull, sparks spraying across the void. The ship groaned as old armor bent under the pressure. But the Dauntless held. "Return fire," Tirak shouted, his voice steadier this time. The ship obeyed. Cannons blazed from every side, tearing into the hunters. Two exploded, burning in silence. Another tried to ram, but Athena spun the ship with sudden speed, slamming a broadside into its core. The swarm's shriek echoed through space before it vanished into fire. The scrappers who had not fled yet stared in disbelief. The rusty relic they had mocked for years was fighting like a predator, tearing through the swarm with brutal skill. Jarro, watching from his small shuttle, whispered in awe. Impossible. That ship should not even move. But the Dauntless was moving. More than moving. It was alive. The battle raged on. The Vorak hunters were fast, faster than most modern ships, but Athena knew their tricks. She remembered their patterns, their weaknesses. They circle before they strike, she instructed. Predict the circle, fire before they turn. Do not chase, make them chase you. Tirak followed her commands. He pressed the triggers, launched counterfire, rerouted power just as she guided him. Slowly the swarm began to thin, but the Dauntless was old. Her cannons overheated, her shields flickered weakly, her engines groaned at every turn. Each shot cost her strength, Athena, Tirak said, panic creeping back into his voice. We can't hold this forever. Correct, Athena replied calmly. But humans never needed forever. We only needed long enough. Tirak gritted his teeth. He fired again. Another hunter burned. For everyone they destroyed, more came. The scrapyard was now a graveyard, wreckage burning as hunters tore apart fleeing scrappers. But even so, word spread fast. One ship was fighting back. One ship was not afraid. Hours seemed to pass, though in truth it was only minutes. Finally, the swarm pulled back slightly, circling at a distance. They are testing us, Athena said. The hunters report back to something larger. A command ship, perhaps. If it arrives, the real battle will begin. Tirak's spine stiffened. A command ship? We can't fight something bigger, Athena. We'll be crushed. Perhaps, Athena admitted. But remember this. The Dauntless was not built to win easily. She was built to bleed the enemy dry, to fight until the last. That is what we will do. And if we will fall in fire, not silence. Her words filled Tirak with both dread and pride. He thought of humans standing against impossible odds. Was this what they had felt? Fear and courage burning together? He took a deep breath. Then let them come. The swarm came. The command ship emerged from the void like a nightmare. It was vast, its body twisting with black armor and living tissue, pulsing as if it breathed. Around it, dozens of hunters swirled like insects around a queen. Tirak's heart pounded. How do we fight that? Do not think of its size, Athena said firmly. Think of its weakness. Every monster has one. We must find it. The command ship roared, a soundless vibration that shook the scrapyard. Then it launched its first strike, beams of sickly green fire that lanced toward the Dauntless. Evasive, Athena commanded. Tirak slammed the controls. The old ship groaned, but her engines obeyed, twisting just enough for the beams to miss. The light sliced through a broken freighter instead, cutting it apart like paper. Return fire, Athena ordered. The Dauntless fired. Bolts struck the hunters, burning them from the sky. But against the command ship, the shots sparked uselessly off thick armor. It's too strong, Tirak gasped. We can't break through. Athena's voice was calm. Then we do not aim for the armor. We aim for the mind. Vorak command ships are not machines. They are living hives. Find the brain and the body dies, but where? Patience, watch. The battle became a dance of fire and shadow. The Dauntless darted between wrecks, using the scrapyard itself as cover. Hunters chased, but Tirak's growing skill kept them at bay. He fired where Athena told him, hitting weak spots, burning more of the swarm. At last, the command ship made a mistake. It opened its mouth-like core to release a wave of drones. There, Athena snapped. Inside, fire everything! Tirak didn't hesitate. He slammed the console and the Dauntless unleashed her fury. Cannons blazed, rockets streaked, beams cut through the dark. The firestorm slammed into the command ship's open core. The beast shrieked, its body twisted, armor cracking, green fire bursting from within. Yes, Tirak shouted. We hit it! Again, Athena commanded. The Dauntless fired again, pouring every ounce of power into the burning wound. The command ship convulsed, then exploded in a wave of fire that lit the scrapyard brighter than a sun. Hunters shrieked in despair. Without their command, they broke formation, scattering wildly. The Dauntless tore through them with merciless fire until the void was quiet once more. When it was over, Tirak sat trembling in the captain's chair. His claws shook, his body ached, but his eyes burned with fire. We did it, he whispered. Athena's voice was steady. Yes, but this was only one swarm. More will come. The galaxy is not ready. Tirac stared at the burning wreckage. Scrappers slowly emerged from hiding, staring at the Dauntless with wide eyes. No one was laughing now. Jarrow's voice came weakly through the comm. Boy, what have you done? Tirac looked at the stars. For the first time in his life, he felt something bigger than fear, bigger than survival. He felt the spirit of humanity burning through the ship, through Athena, through himself. He straightened in the chair. I reminded them what humans were. The Dauntless drifted forward, scarred but unbroken, her gun still glowing with heat. The galaxy had called her a rusty relic. Now they would call her something else, a warning, a promise, and a spark of hope. The void beyond the scrapyard was calm, but the silence was fragile. Tirac sat in the captain's chair of the Dauntless, his claws resting on the console. Around him, the ship groaned and creaked under its age, but her systems hummed steadily. Athena's voice filled the bridge, calm and strong, a familiar anchor in the storm. Tirac, she said softly, we face the swarm's command fleet. They will not stop until this sector is theirs. Every system, every scrap, every life, they consume without thought. But we will not yield. Tirac swallowed hard. He had faced the hunters before, yes, but the command fleet would be different. Larger, smarter, far more dangerous. The Dauntless was old, her armor scarred, her weapons weakened from centuries of disuse. I understand, he said, his voice steady, though inside his chest raced. We fight. We make them remember humans. Athena's lights flickered as if approving. Good. Humans fought not for glory, not for fame, but for others. That is why they endured. You will do the same, remember. Survival is not only life. Survival is the fight that inspires others to keep living. The swarm came. Not a single ship, but dozens, the black forms of Vorak command ships gliding through space like shadows. Smaller hunter ships darted around them, fast and deadly. The command fleet was vast, pulsing with eerie green light, thrumming like a heartbeat. Tirac's stomach nodded. Athena's voice was calm. We cannot destroy all of them. We must target the heart, the flagship. If it falls, the swarm will scatter. Tirac nodded. I know what to do. And then the Dauntless moved. The ship groaned as engines powered up to maximum. She leapt forward, dodging hunter ships that swarmed like hornets. Her old cannons fired bolts of pure energy, cutting through the smaller vessels, tearing their wings and hulls apart. Athena guided him through every maneuver. Left 40 degrees. Brace for collision vectors. Fire broadside. Wait, now. Tirac followed her commands, adrenaline sharpening his instincts. For the first time, he realized he had become more than a scrapper. He was a captain, commanding a legendary warship. The flagship appeared ahead, massive and twisting, its core glowing with green energy. Hunters protected it, but Athena's tactical knowledge combined with Tirac's growing skill allowed them to break through. Prepare for ramming sequence, Athena said quietly. The Dauntless is old, but she has tricks the swarm will not expect. We cannot match their numbers, but we can strike where it hurts. Tirac's claws clenched. Do it! The ship surged forward, dodging blasts of energy that tore at the hull. The smaller hunters tried to intercept, but each fell to the Dauntless's precise fire. Tirac's hands moved almost without thought, guided by Athena's voice, by the memory of humans who had fought against impossible odds. The flagship loomed closer. Its green core pulsed like a living heart. Athena spoke, her voice filled with determination. Aim for the vent near the core. Human engineers designed weaknesses even in larger ships. If we strike, it will die. Tirac nodded, feeling a fire in his chest. Humans had built this ship not just to survive, but to win against impossible odds. And now he understood why. The Dauntless fired every remaining energy bolt. Rockets streaked past, lighting up the dark void. The core of the flagship shuddered, sparks flying. But the swarm fought back. Energy beams lanced toward the Dauntless, ripping through armor and tearing panels free. Hull integrity falling, Athena warned. We will not survive a second strike. Tirac gritted his teeth. We fight anyway. The ship shuddered violently as a blast tore through the rear engines. The Dauntless spun, groaning, sparks flying from broken circuits. Tirac held on, steering toward the core once more. Final sequence, Athena said. We hit the core, we destroy the flagship. We cannot survive this, but humanity's legacy will live. Are you ready, Tirac? Tirac swallowed, his claws trembling. I am ready. The Dauntless surged forward, old engines screaming, energy coursing through her ancient veins. Tirak fired the final salvo, hitting the vent just as Athena instructed. The flagship's core ignited in a massive explosion, sending shards of green energy flying in every direction. The smaller hunters scattered in panic, leaderless and broken. The swarm's command structure was gone. Silence fell over the battlefield, but the victory came at a cost. The Dauntless shuddered violently, systems failing one by one. Panels fell, sparks danced across the bridge, and the engines groaned their last. Athena's voice softened. Tirak, I cannot hold the systems any longer. The ship is failing. You must carry the memory of humanity forward. Tell the galaxy, we were never weak, we fought. We endured, we will not yield. Tirak's eyes filled with tears. No, we can't lose you. Listen, Athena said gently. We are not gone. I'm part of you now. Humanity's spirit is in you, Tirak. You will carry it to the stars. Remember, fight for others. Inspire them. As humans inspired each other, the ship groaned and trembled. Lights flickered. The bridge tilted. Tirak struggled to keep his balance. The Dauntless, the proud, feared human warship, was dying. Tirak looked out of the viewport. The void was filled with smoke and debris from the battle, but he also saw hope. Survivors from the scrapyard were emerging from hiding, watching the final act of the rusty relic. He knew their lives would change because of what they had seen. One ship had stood against a fleet that should have destroyed everything. One ship had reminded the galaxy that humans, though gone or forgotten, had left a mark too strong to erase. The final moments came quickly. The Dauntless's systems failed, her lights dimming. Tirak felt Athena's presence fading in his mind, but her words stayed. Humanity's strength, courage, and will lived on. With a final surge of energy, the Dauntless fired her last weapons into drifting Vorak ships. The explosion lit the void, and the flagship's destruction was complete. Then the old warship collapsed, twisting and breaking apart, drifting silently among the stars she had once ruled. Tirak floated in zero gravity, holding himself against a console, silent tears flowing. His heart ached for the ship, for Athena, for humans he had never met, and yet felt he had known all his life. But in the wreckage of battle, he saw survivors emerging. Aliens, scrappers, traitors, they whispered in awe. The story of the rusty relic spread fast. They called it a relic. One traitor said softly, but it saved us all. Tirak swam toward an escape pod. He carried with him the last data cores of the Dauntless, Athena's memory and centuries of human wisdom. Every tactic, every battle lesson, every story of courage was stored in his hands. Humanity might be gone, but its legacy would live. He activated the pod and watched the stars drift past. He thought of humans standing against impossible odds, of their refusal to yield, of their courage when all seemed lost, and he smiled. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but he would not. The spirit of the human race now lived inside him, a flame burning bright and somewhere in the stars. He knew. Other ancient ships waited, other relics slept, waiting for the right moment to remind the galaxy what humans were capable of. Tirak whispered softly as the escape pod moved away from the wreckage. Humans, I understand now. Your fight was never over, and neither is your legacy. The void was silent again, but this time it was a silence filled with hope. Somewhere out there the galaxy would remember, and humanity's fire would burn forever.